Hello, my Beautiful Thousand Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another watcher. We got some mystery files, bruh. Yeah. This one's titled The Sinister Letters That Terrorized a Small Town. If I'm not mistaken, this is about the Circleville letters, which we've done a Mr. Ballin video on that, and if I can remember, I will link it like over in here somewhere. All of a sudden it just pops up. I'll try. But I'm really excited. I love Watcher. It's hilarious. So even though we've heard this before, I'm excited for it. All right, let's go ahead and get today's story. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cup with something special. Let's get mysterious. Yeah, we start watching this. Anyone else get like the feel like we're getting ready to watch an episode of Stranger Things?
You heard about this? Circleville letters?
No, no.
Not even once? Not even a little peek? Little peeksy?
I've never seen these words.
Really?
I've seen letters, I've seen the.
Have you seen
circle,
circles?
I've seen Ville. Never seen them put all in that order.
Well, how exciting that we could smash them all together for this great party that we're about to throw here. Actually,
is this a fun story? Do you like this one? Are you proud of this?
Is this a fun case? No.
Okay.
It's not. It's not. But it is an intriguing one.
But we'll have fun down here in the basement.
Well, we always have fun down
We
here.
always have fun in the basement.
We always have fun down here.
Ryan and I go down in the basement, we have fun. You're not allowed usually.
Yeah.
But
and
now you're allowed.
It makes it sound like we're doing other things, but in
we're
reality,
doing a lot down here.
We're just, well,
having fun.
We're doing a lot of fun. We're just hanging out and stuff like that. You know, season premiere, we're back in the basement, back cracking some mysteries. And speaking of mysteries, we do have some mysterious Circleville letters to get into, but we also have a mysterious videotape that I have to preview, apparently. The producers of this show said that there's something going on this bad boy here. Mm-hmm. Let's check it out! Well, how about that, huh?
That was sweet.
That was quite the mystery right
Yeah.
there. Are you ready for the main event, though?
Fire it up, brother.
Oh, you already perked up. I was going to tell you to perk up and maybe, you know, get that pen ready.
I'm lively.
Open up that mind to a studious setting. I know that's hard for you.
Oh God!
About 30 miles south of Columbus, Ohio, sits the town of Circleville. The best little town around, its website cheerily states.
That's funny.
Oh, is that?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Is that a joke about circles? The best little town around?
Oh my God.
Holy shit!
In 1970, it had a
The sudden realization on his fucking face. I love it. God.
population of about 11,100 people. And over the next 20 years, more than 1,000 threatening letters, mainly targeting 2 individuals, would be sent to the people of not just Circleville, but of greater southern Ohio, including elected officials and the newspapers.
2 individuals receiving thousands of threatening letters?
That's right.
Can't relate.
Well, you're only getting
That's funny, right?
thousands of letters of praise, is what you're saying.
Oh no, you Bulgaras, you're sending me anthrax. You're doxing me.
We're not doxing
I've
you.
been swatted dozens of times.
Well, that was just me, because I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, well.
It was funny to see you on your knees on the lawn, just like people pointing guns at you. I was like laughing my ass off at home on a drone that I was controlling from the basement, this basement. The first was received on March 2nd, 1977, by the superintendent of the nearby Westfall High School, Gordon Massey. Written in block letters, the letter read, quote, "Dear Sir, according to my girlfriend, you have asked her to go out many times and have asked the other female bus drivers too. Due to your position and their jobs with you, you should not do this. This must stop at once for the good of this school and families. If they are not stopped, I will be forced to write to the school board, and I'd hate to do that. To prey on another man's girl is untouchable, especially when they're out trying to make a living. There's also talk of you dating a married woman and taking advantage of them. Do you need the times and names again? Please think. I suggest you find yourself a pimple-faced whore and start up with her and leave my girls alone." End quote.
Gordon Massey got that dog in him.
I was gonna say, I was kind of on this guy's side until this little tasty part right here. I was like,
I don't know about
I'm
all
all
that.
about him like being like, don't commit adultery. And then he went a little too far by calling her, I guess a hypothetical person, a pimple-faced whore.
That's not that. You can't be calling people that.
Anyways, enough about Gordon. Let's move on. And what is this now? What the?
Oh, wow.
What in the Blues Clues is happening here?
Always nice to see the mailman.
That's Carter. That's not even a mailman.
Delivery for me.
What are you doing? Why are you dressed like that?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty light mail day, huh? Pretty empty bag.
It's a shame.
Shane, weird. I guess you should read it. I wonder who wrote it.
Oh, wow. Well, this is your handwriting.
I don't know about that.
Okay, it says, Dear sir, it has come to my attention that you have been using Watcher Entertainment's money to purchase jelly beans, little doll clothes,
Have you been doing that?
Pandora Premium, specifically the indie rock channels. Does anyone still use Pandora?
Apparently you. I mean, you tell
I
me.
never used Pandora.
Then why isn't it in the funds?
As well as copious amounts of skins on Fortnite. Now that's true. Due to your position, you should not do this, and I implore you to stop immediately. If you are not stopped, I will be forced to write Watcher CEO Stephen Lim.
That person does sound really concerned.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about someone writing to Stephen Lim.
I would think about that again. The last time Stephen Lim caught somebody skimming off the top, we all know how that went. May they rest in peace.
I think for now, it's on my radar. I'm not very alarmed.
Well, I mean, the concerned letter writer is not gonna like that, it sounds like. What kind of skins did you get on Fortnite?
I've got a lot.
A few days later, the school board received a second letter, urging them to investigate allegations that
Oh, he's got them OG skins still from season 1, bruh.
Gordon Massey had used his position to harass female bus drivers. That same day, a third letter was received by Massey's fellow superintendent with the same accusations. Soon, however, the letter writer moved on to their primary target, Mary Gillespie. A married mother of 2, Mary worked as a school bus driver and was accused by the writer of having an affair with Gordon Massey, who was a married father himself. The first letter she received read, Mrs. Gillespie, stay away from Massey. Don't lie when questioned about meeting him. I know where you live. I've been observing your house and know you have children. This is no joke. Please take it serious. Everyone concerned has been notified and everything will be over soon.
So this bus driver, Mary, she's smooching Gordon.
That's what the letter alleges.
So the first letters were like, leave the bus drivers alone. And now the letters to the bus driver being like, leave Gordon alone.
I think this
nobody should kiss in this town.
This letter writer is like, hey, you're both married. Stop smooching. What are you doing? But I will say, just as a quick reminder to apparently you and the audience, these are all allegations in this letter. We don't know if these things have happened.
Right.
This guy, he might be a little insane in the membrane.
But if none of it happened, then everybody should just...
Why would he write the letters then? Why would she or he write the letters then?
I hope this ends with someone getting the death penalty.
I did not expect an endorsement for capital punishment in this part of the episode.
I'm just annoyed. Really. I'm annoyed.
Another letter read, Lady. It's funny to start a letter with lady. Lady, this is your last chance to report him. I know you are a pig and will prove it and shame you out of Ohio. A pig sneaks around and meets other women's husbands behind their backs. It causes families and homes and marriages to suffer. Could have used maybe a comma.
So much pig talk.
It damages families, comma, homes, comma, and marriages. He did the and twice. That always pisses me off.
Oxford comma in there.
When people don't do the and, it fucking annoys me. Although Mary denied the affair, the letters continued and grew even more threatening. They wrote to Mary's husband, Ronald Gillespie, informing him of the alleged affair and recommending that he catch the two in the act and kill them, saying Massey, quote, doesn't deserve to live. But further letters threatened Ron himself if he didn't take action against them, detailing what car he drives and what school his and Mary's children attended. Ron took the letters to the Pickaway County Sheriff, but according to Ron's brother-in-law, Paul Freshour, Ron was told that the sheriff had more important matters to attend to. At this point, where do you even stand on this? Do you care that these people are perhaps committing all these egregious affairs?
It's just someone who's on a sick little power trip, it seems like.
A vigilante.
Yeah.
A relationship Batman.
A zealot. I get weird religious vibes from them.
I mean, do we even... I don't remember the video we watched. Was she? Was they? Was it? Was it happening? I don't remember.
Could you imagine if Batman beat the shit out of cheaters?
Yeah.
Instead of going after the Joker and the Penguin, he just makes sure people don't cheat on their spouses.
Marriage is a promise.
In addition to the letters, obscene signs about Mary Gillespie and her children began popping up around town, including describing sexual acts between Massey and the couple's 8-year-old daughter. Paul Freshour, who was married to Ron's sister, Karen Sue, said that Ron began driving around for an hour or two before work every day to take down the signs that had popped up overnight. Let's just take a little break here to establish who the key players are. I've thrown a lot of names at you and at you. So let's just go over it. Mary Gillespie, bus driver, possibly banging Gordon Massey, taking that bus, turning it into the bang bus. And then we have Ron Gillespie, married to Mary Gillespie, possible cuck Ron Gillespie. And then his sister is Karen Sue Freshour, who is married to Paul Freshour. And it's claimed that Ron is driving around town, taking down all these obscene signs that are calling him and Mary out and describing sexual acts with their daughter.
Let's say you're getting these letters. What are the odds that you're, because I'm rising to the challenge, I'm staking out. If those signs are going up every night,
yeah,
I'm doing a stakeout. How big can Circleville possibly be?
That's true. Or
I'm staking out and I'm gonna clobber that nerd.
Or I'm just, that's a good point. You could do an old-fashioned stakeout and just wait for them to hammer that sign in, because you can't put a sign in quickly.
No.
Instead, they were just driving around taking the signs out after the fact. You gotta think ahead.
Wake up earlier.
That's right. According to Freshour, Mary and Ron Gillespie believed they knew who was behind the letters. On August 19th, 1977, at 10 p.m., 5 months after the first letter was sent, Mary was on her way to Florida with sister-in-law Karen Sue Freshour and some friends, when Ronald received a phone call. Whatever he heard seemed to confirm his suspicions about the identity of the letter writer, and he allegedly told his young daughter that he was going to confront the culprit before taking his gun and driving off in his truck.
Yikes.
Family's being mocked for months. You get the call. You're pretty sure that's the person. Is it time to break out the fisticuffs and go to
I don't think I'm gonna kill him.
I mean, let's be clear. I don't think there's any time that is suitable for you to break out your deagle and go over there and try and threaten somebody with a gun. But you could go over there, rough them up a little bit, you know?
I think you'd be playing right into their game then. I think they...
Yeah, but this was also like back in the day, bro. You was bringing in livelihoods. You was bringing in families, children. Like adulteryism. Back in the day, people didn't fuck with that shit. Like they'd shoot a motherfucker right in the face for it, bro. Was it right? Eh.
Want a reaction, you know? They want to get a rise out of you.
I don't think anybody wants this.
I hire a TaskRabbit to kill them.
I think the rate's going to be pretty high on that one. You might want to go to Craigslist.
Or you just call the police at that point. They can't arrest you for having an affair with a bus driver, but they could, you know, if this person's threatening you. I think that's probably illegal. Or
that's true. They cannot find you guilty in a court of law for having, I suppose, an affair. They could find you guilty in the court of God, though.
But that doesn't mean anything.
That's true, it doesn't mean anything. Ronald Gillespie was pronounced dead an hour later after his car crashed into a tree on 5 Points Pike, just 10 minutes from his home. While the rural road would have been dark, the weather conditions that night were clear. It was reported that Ron had been traveling at excessive speed and missed the curve in the road. But Paul alleged that Ron was actually in a high-speed chase and that there were bullet holes in the side of the truck. But there was no evidence of that. Ron hit the tree at 10:25 p.m. and, not wearing a seatbelt, was partially ejected from the car. It's believed he died on impact, but he was pronounced dead when he arrived at the hospital at 11:15 p.m. Ron was just 35 years old. The coroner ruled his death an accident, and a pathology report put his blood alcohol content at 0.16, double the legal limit. According to his brother-in-law, this would have been wildly out of character for Ron. Freshour believed that Ron had been murdered and urged the sheriff's office to look more into the case. Was it an accident? Was it not an accident? Who knows?
Was he drinking before they left?
He had a blood alcohol level of 0.16.
So it sounds like he maybe
just was drunk driving.
Yeah, which, Ohio.
After the accident, the Circleville letter writer would claim that Ron was killed by Mary Gillespie and Gordon Massey. The writer even claimed that Sheriff Dwight Radcliffe was covering up the murder for Gordon Massey. And although Mary had denied the affair with Gordon Massey prior to Ron's death, they did begin seeing each other after the affair.
Where's his wife?
They did divorce,
okay.
And then his wife did at some point cite cruelty as the reason for the divorce. Yeah. So it's certainly weird that this whole thing started because of an alleged affair between the two of these people. And then after that, your move is to then be like, I guess I'm just gonna get together with the person that I guess caused all of this?
Well, but the thing is like if all these, this fallout has happened because allegedly we're doinking each other.
Might as well doink.
Might as well doink. You know?
Or is it might as well keep doink?
Keep doink.
The threats toward Mary
doink.
Escalated
Definitely
in the years
keep doink.
following Ron's death. On the afternoon of February 7th, 1983, Mary was driving her bus to pick up students from school, about to turn onto the same street Ron had crashed on, when she noticed a sign with an obscene message about her now 13-year-old daughter. Mary stopped the bus, got out, and attempted to remove the sign from the fence it was attached to. In doing so, she noticed that the sign was connected to a box via some twine. She removed it and took the box home and found that.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
You're not gonna guess what's in the box.
Oh, can I guess what's in the box?
Sure, guess what's in the box.
Damning photographs.
No. Hot, cold, very cold.
Biological material.
Cold. If your next guess isn't any better, I'm gonna move on.
Poison.
Let's move on.
Oh.
She removed it and took the box home and found that it held a loaded .25 caliber pistol.
I was right.
All right. That's investment into this because I feel like guns are probably expensive. Is the implication here like, hey, K-word yourself? Is that what they're going for?
Well, it's a good thing that you asked that because there is something sinister about this gun being in this box.
Okay.
It's a far cry from a lend-a-book library, I'll tell you that. When she brought the box to the police, they immediately recognized that it was a booby trap that had failed to go off. According to Sheriff Radcliffe, the gun would have gone off if someone tried to pry just the sign off the fence. But since Mary removed the box itself, it failed. The gun's serial number had been filed off, but a lab was able to recover it, and the Bureau of Criminal Investigations in Ohio traced it to a man in Columbus, Ohio, who stated that he'd sold the gun to his co-worker, Paul Freshour. And with that, oh wait, hold on, I'm gonna make sure that sinks in. Did you get that?
Yes.
It was a pretty cool presentation. His name popped up and everything.
Oh fuck, I wasn't looking.
It was like a big reveal. Like that's who the gun was sold to. I was hoping that it would elicit some sort of like, wow, that guy Mario.
For some, I know
it's not a Mia Mario. It's Mia Murderer.
Yeah, I know aliens aren't in this story, but I was drawing a picture of an alien holding a little gun.
Okay. Is that a picture of an alien with a pistol?
Yeah.
Did you hear anything that I just said?
Paul got a gun.
Let me ask you this.
Janie's got a gun.
Does that look like an alien?
No, I know aliens probably aren't. I just, we covered them a lot on this show. This book's full of aliens. You shouldn't have given me the one from last season.
Look, you gotta...
Oh, I drew Jesus last season, too, as well.
Listen up. Listen up.
Yeah.
We're trying to solve a mystery here. And if you don't start taking the investigation seriously, I'm gonna be forced to tick this up a notch.
Take it up a notch. Let's do it.
Now.
Oh God.
The first suspect is Paul Freshour, Mary Gillespie's brother-in-law. Freshour was the original gun owner's direct supervisor at the Anheuser-Busch facility. and had told him he wanted the gun for protection because his wife and children were being harassed. The purchase had occurred in December 1982, just a few months before Mary discovered it in the booby trap, and Paul told police that the gun had been stolen from his garage. Despite this, he never reported the gun missing to the police.
I mean, look, I like the guy. He's got kind eyes. I think he did it.
Yeah. Also, going with the old someone stole the murder weapon from my garage routine, not exactly airtight. I think you gotta come up with a better excuse than that.
Yeah.
Everyone
but
uses
he does have kind eyes, and as you pointed out earlier, he does look quite a bit like Mario.
And these are real photos of him. This isn't a model we've hired, because this is just a stunning man.
In his interview, he told the police he knew who'd taken it, but didn't name the suspect.
Well, name him, Paul.
My gun was stolen. Oh, really? I know who did it.
But
Who
I'll
was it?
never tell.
Fresh Hour otherwise cooperated with the police, allowing them to search his home and car. And he gave them samples of his handwriting, waived his right to an attorney, and even agreed to a polygraph test, which he failed. It's kind of funny to dare the police to be like, I'm so confident that I'm telling the truth here, you could test me, and then immediately fail the test. It's like, I don't think he thought it through.
I assume the other suspects are even more damning. Otherwise, I don't know why you told me about him first.
Well, that's a good question.
Okay.
And perhaps maybe you have to keep your investigator cap on throughout the presentation because you could see that there are 4 suspects.
Okay.
So let's focus up.
Right now,
eyes
he's
open,
number
ears
1,
open.
baby.
Yeah, number 1 for you.
Paul's number 1 in my heart.
He's also one of 1 so far that you've been presented.
Number 1 on the suspect list.
Not exactly a big proclamation like I think you think it is. It was at this time that Fresh Hour's estranged wife, Karen Sue, told police that Paul had been the anonymous writer of the letters. She claimed that she'd first found one of the letters torn up in a toilet. Look at this. Look.
Yeah. Oh, you put a little piece of
You can see the
little piece of paper
little
on
letter
there.
in the toilet.
That's good. I like that.
You know, you look in a toilet, you expect to see maybe pee if you're, you know, if it's yellow, let it mellow kind of person.
Sure.
But definitely not a letter.
No.
She claimed that she'd first found one of the letters torn up in a toilet and then found several others around the house. Fresh Hour vehemently denied this, as well as any connection to the booby trap that Mary found, despite the presence of his gun in the booby trap. According to investigative journalist Martin Yant, Fresh Hour believed his ex-wife, Karen Sue, had set him up. And speaking of Karen Sue, suspect number 2, Karen Sue Fresh Shower. Now you were wondering who's coming up next, and boy do we have something for you. Ha!
Whoa! What's the Skinamarink phone doing there? Okay. Every time, why is he showing up so many places lately?
I felt like a wizard there. How does
That's good.
Paul and Karen Sue Fresh Hour had been married for 20 years when they filed for divorce in October 1982, just a few months before Paul bought the gun, and Mary Gillespie found the booby trap. Karen Sue would later tell police that Paul was physically abusive towards her in the first years of their marriage, and that she'd even filed for divorce back then, but rescinded it. In the early 1980s, he began to assert that she was cheating on him, and Karen Sue left him in late June 1982. She claimed that on October 5th, 1982, Paul threatened her with a broken glass bottle, saying that her own mother wouldn't recognize her when he was done with her.
Bad, bad, bad.
Holy shit.
If that's true, Paul's canceled.
Oh, unfortunately, it does get worse.
Oh.
He beat her and left her with a black eye
Okay,
and 4
bad guy,
stitches.
bad guy.
Paul went to counseling following the incident, so
Well, good for him,
all
but
good,
bad
right?
man.
Everything's all washed clean. There might have been a detail in there that you might have.
They got married, they got divorced.
Let me ask
He
you
was
this.
Nasty.
What was the Circleville letter writer obsessed with? Particularly, what was he obsessed with people?
Oh, cheating. Yeah, and he thinks she cheat. He thinks she cheat.
Now, after the divorce, the couple's adult son, Mark, lived with Karen Sue in a trailer on Mary Gillespie's property, while the court granted Paul the house and custody of their daughters. I don't understand that, I have to say. Like, how did a court grant this dude custody if he's like
It was like the 70s, man.
tormenting his wife?
Nobody made good decisions then.
Ohio.
Ohio and the 70s.
It's a tandem made in hell. Karen Sue told police that Mark was afraid of Paul. Karen Sue also told police that her children were receiving letters at their house, and the girls were receiving phone calls as well.
You put the Skinamarink phone on there just to point to it when you said the word phone calls?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Because look at, he's a happy. I mean, this is a pretty sad part of the case.
Yeah.
So we needed a little Skinamarink to just kind of like cheer us up. Look at his little smile. Karen Sue was the one to initially link Paul to the letters, telling authorities she'd found letters in their home 2 years before. However, she no longer had the letters to prove it. She claimed that one of the letters she'd found was addressed to Anheuser-Busch, and that Paul told her that it was a reference letter that he had written. The letter found in the toilet reportedly had the name Gillespie visible on the letter inside. Karen claimed she found several other letters around the house on which the name Gillespie could be made out, and that she found 4 letters in the trunk of Paul's car after Ron's death, with Paul telling her that Ron had wanted him to mail them. Her co-worker Raymond Trainer corroborated her story, telling police that she had mentioned finding letters around her home with the same block-style writing as the Circleville letters. Any thoughts on that?
It's Paul. My notes say Paul. Paul's who did it. Paul.
Yeah. The case was investigated by the television program Unsolved Mysteries in 1993. Before the show filmed, the production received a letter of its own. Quote, "Forget Circleville, Ohio. Do nothing to hurt Sheriff Radcliffe. If you come to Ohio, you, El Sicko, will pay," the Circleville writer.
Al Sicko?
El Sicko.
El Sicko?
Like E-L Sicko.
El Sicko?
El Sicko.
Okay.
You should give me a nickname right now. Like a cool one.
Stiz Cranker.
I could do that. Despite the warning, the show proceeded with filming the episode.
Okay.
A family friend was interviewed by the show, but according to her, Karen Sue had called her and instructed her not to do the interview. The family friend went ahead with it anyway. According to her, Karen Sue kept track of everyone who spoke to production, even going as far as parking her car across the street and photographing everyone who went in. Karen Sue did not participate. So what do you think about Karen Sue?
Seems like a decent lady. Maybe she's lying about everything.
The thing is, there's no proof for any of these folks that the claims they're making. So,
I mean, Paul, it's Paul's gun.
But you're shining your justice lights on Paul.
I'm still looking at Paul. I'm looking at those big, beautiful eyes and saying, "Sir, I think you're a monster."
Okay, that's weird that you call them big, beautiful eyes.
Sir.
Anyways, moving on to suspect number 3.
Oh my
Mark,
God.
fresh shower. Oh shit!
Yes.
Okay, the adult son of Paul and Karen Sue Freshour, Mark chose to live with his mother and was emotionally affected by his parents' divorce. According to investigative journalist Martin Yant, even before the booby trap was discovered, it was Mark that Paul had suspected of stealing his gun from the garage. Their family friend Pam Stanton said Paul would never have told the police his suspicions about his son, saying, quote, "Paul would have died before he'd seen Mark go to jail," end quote.
Can't really make the call on this unless I need to sit down with these folks for a couple hours each, get a coffee with them, talk with them.
Get a feel of their
smoke
vibes.
a few cigarettes with them.
We don't, I agree, the cork board does not account for the vibe check.
I wish you could make them come alive with the power of AI. You know, suddenly you just put into one of those fucking things and be like, be a Paul Freshour chatbot, please.
Oh,
be
okay.
like, "Hi, my name's Paul."
I thought you meant use AI to make these faces come to life like Hogwarts.
Well, that'd be cool too. Can you do that right now?
No, that's not how AI works. But we are going to move to suspect number 4.
Who is?
That would be cool. I want to see it.
Massey. William Massey. Some believe that Gordon Massey's son could have been the original letter writer. His parents were in the process of divorcing when the letters started, and he would have been in his late teens or early 20s at the time. His mother cited extreme cruelty as one of the reasons for their divorce.
A lot of cruel people in this town, huh?
I mean, like, there's not a lot going on, perhaps. I actually don't know that. I didn't really check in to see what the local attractions are at Circleville.
Well, it just seems like everyone's like,
Ohio,
this
there ain't
person was
shit,
very
bro.
cruel.
You know what?
Extremely cruel.
I know we're running low on time, but I do want to just type in really quickly. Top 10 things to do in Circleville, Ohio.
Yeah.
Number 1 is go to Columbus.
Leave.
The number 1 is Columbus scavenger hunt.
Number 1, get
Wait,
the
hold on, this
fuck out
can't-
of Circleville.
His mother cited extreme cruelty as one of the reasons for divorce. Some letters later on were reportedly even signed Bill Massey. but he was still living under his father's roof at the time. People doubt he would have been able to pull that off. So to recap, let's take a look at this family tree. Now, Paul Freshour, suspect number 1.
That's right.
Married, now not married, but was with Karen Sue Freshour, who is suspect number 2. Karen Sue Freshour's brother was killed in the car crash, and of course, her brother was married to Mary Gillespie, who was, in the bang bus with Gordon Massey. When this guy and his original wife divorced, it could have been a reason why this guy would be angry.
Yeah.
Maybe he saw that his dad was sneaking around and was like, hey, I'm gonna write these letters to get my dad off the wrong track. I could maybe see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mark Freshour, suspect number 3.
They're just blaming the kids.
But nobody has, this picture, definitely not as good as this picture.
No,
this picture definitely, I see this picture, guilty.
Entering his Ron Jeremy phase over.
I see this picture.
Oh, who's that?
Why aren't you doing the breaststroke?
Yeah.
Underwater in Mario Land.
What? Oh.
And with all that being said, now that we have the lay of the land again, who are you feeling on all of this?
I think it's Paul. If I were sheriff in this town, I'd arrest him and try him for murder. They don't even need to have a trial.
Could you imagine if your job entailed you just having hunches, and at the end of one of your hunches, someone goes to jail?
Sure.
That's scary.
I guess so. That's why I'm not a cop.
Let's move on.
Okay.
I understand that though.
In October 1983, Paul Freshour was arrested and tried for attempted murder, pleading not guilty. He was not charged in connection to the letters. His family and friends were shocked. One family friend called the suspicion around him preposterous. Paul Freshour spent over a month in jail before being released on a $50,000 bond. He then admitted himself to a mental hospital, stating, "After 34 days in jail, I decided to come in here and have things checked out," end quote. At one point, he even entered a plea of innocent by reason of insanity, but he changed it back to just an innocent plea a short while later. The case against Paul was weak sauce. There was no physical evidence that connected him to the booby trap, no fingerprints, and he had an alibi for most of the time when the booby trap would have been installed on the fence. He had taken the day off to have work done to his house, and several witnesses confirmed that he was seen at his home. There was, however, circumstantial evidence. The box his gun had been found in was an industrial chalk box that could have readily been found at his work. Though he was never charged with the letter writing, the judge at Paul's trial allowed 39 of the letters to be used in evidence, with the prosecution claiming that the handwriting on the box was similar to that in the letters. 2 document examiners testified that the handwriting on the letters could have been Freshour's. The jury deliberated for 2.5 hours before Paul was ultimately convicted of attempted murder. And although it was never proven that he wrote the letters, most people assumed that he had. He was sentenced to a maximum sentence of 7 to 25 years in prison, and ultimately spent 10 years there. But despite Freshour being behind bars, the letters didn't stop. Hundreds were sent during his decade in prison. The prison warden stated it would have been impossible for Paul Freshour to have written the letters. He had been kept in isolation and was not allowed pens or paper. All of his incoming and outgoing mail was inspected. The letters were also postmarked from Columbus, but Freshour was imprisoned nearly 100 miles away in Lima, Ohio. Authorities insisted that Paul was still behind the letters, suggesting that he had an accomplice on the outside. He was a well-behaved prisoner, but when he was up for parole after 7 years, he was denied because of the continuing letters. Thoughts on just like him, he gets sentenced, he's in jail, but then the letters keep coming.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should have done things differently in his life.
Maybe you should have thought about that before you meet a booby trap with a gun in a mailbox.
Lock up your gun, Paul. How about that?
A couple days after his parole was denied, Paul Freshour himself received a letter, which read, "Freshour, now when are you going to believe you aren't getting out of there? I told you 2 years ago when we set them up. They stay set up. Don't you listen at all? No one wants you out. The joke is on you. Ha, ha. Tell no one of this letter. I saw the paper. Great news. Great. The sheriff loved it. Ha, ha. Do you believe it now? Do you? He received a letter from the Riddler.
Yeah, he got it.
The letters finally stopped in 1994 when Paul was released from prison. It was then that, according to investigative journalist Martin Yant, Paul Freshour reached out to the FBI to look into the case, but they never reportedly responded to him. What are you writing down some notes?
I'm looking to see who died in 1994.
Interesting. Why would you do that?
It could have been actor Telly Savalas.
All right.
Or Kurt Cobain.
Mark Freshour never visited his father in prison, and in the early morning of September 11th, 2002, Mark's body was found after dying by an apparent suicide. He was 39 years old. His mother, Karen Sue, told police that he'd struggled with depression for a long time. Although Paul Freshour was convicted and served a decade in prison, he never admitted guilt. Paul died in 2012 at the age of 70, still claiming his innocence to the very end. You know, is that worth something? Do you put stock into deathbed confessions or lack thereof? Like if someone was convicted of something and they keep saying they're innocent till the day they die, when they easily could have just admitted it? No? One of those? Even at that? Okay. In recent years, investigations by host Marie Mayhew on the podcast Whatever Remains and CBS's 48 Hours asserted that Paul Freshour had been the letter writer. The Pickaway Sheriff's Office considers the case of the Circleville letters closed. Despite Paul maintaining that his hands were clean, I think we can pretty surely consider this case solved.
It was Paul.
It was Paul.
I was right.
Well, I mean,
I'm the best.
You can make a good inference that it's Paul.
I never once wavered. I said Paul. Even when you number 2, maybe it was Karen Sue, maybe it was William. I said no, Paul.
Not
Look
Ringo,
at this.
not Ringo, not John.
Paul.
It was Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you did write Paul all over that like you were the fucking Joker. But yeah, I mean, he was convicted of attempted murder, but they never were able to pin him for the letters.
Who cares?
It's pretty much solved, I would
Yeah.
say. We'll call this one pretty much solved.
You put a gun in a box to try and booby trap someone. Yeah, you go to jail.
That's true.
Who cares if you wrote letters? And I guess he would have written the letters if it was connected to the signs that were also, sort of part of the whole razzle dazzle.
Yeah, that's why 48 Hours and also that podcast, Whatever Remains, concluded, yeah, he wrote the letters.
Yeah. And look.
And you know what also concluded he wrote the letters? Mystery Files.
That's right.
And I mean, I don't know what higher... Take a look. Read it and weep.
48 Hours.
This case has been cracked. It's been solved. It's Paul.
He loves his little punky thing. Oh yeah, the video at the beginning.
Here's the thing about this place that I love. It's so dialed in on what it is. Cheers.
Uh-oh, it's good.
So good.
Chud Cranker?
Maybe if you have a nickname of your own. Let's
The
just
little
say-
cranker.
I really enjoyed that. That was great. I miss Mystery Files. I'm glad we're back. And no, that does not mean that we're done with Are You Scared? I'm saving those for in between everything. That way we always have something. You know what I mean? All right. If y'all really enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. While you're down there, going over and slap that subscribe button, become part of the Bill 5000 Nation. We do some crazy shit here, bro. And if you want to know when that crazy shit happens, ding that bell. It might work for you. It might not. If it do, though, jump in on one of my premieres, go over in the live chat and be like, what's up, bro? It worked for you. I got dinged so good. And a lot of people haven't been getting dinged. And I apologize for that. I hope you get dinged. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. I know what would have figured all this out. Some Bill 5000 merch. Links in the description.
It's